The Lagos State Manager of Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Smidan Olubunmi Cole Dawudu, says more than 50 million informal businesses operate in Lagos State. He's asking that the government should harness the opportunities in the sector for better growth. He said this at the Forum on Economic Data Performance organized by Lagos Bureau of Statistics. I don't know where this data came from, that Lagos has more than 50 million informal businesses operating. What is the population of Lagos State? It is not up to 50 million. Maybe at most we could be talking about 25 or maybe 27 million residents in Lagos State. So how do we have businesses that almost double or at least double the number of residents in Lagos? Who are the owners of the business? Who are those operating the business? So when we put out data, Dr. Idahosa have often talked about how the Bureau of Statistics collect data, how they interpret data as well. I think this is one of those issues where we need to ask, how did the data come that there are more than 50 million businesses in Lagos State? Did they get the information from the CAC? If they are within the informal sector, the chances are not all of them are registered with the CAC. So where did they get that data from?
I think it could be the devil's, what they call it, is the way they put it, the error that comes from the pen or what it is. I don't think that we'll have up to 50 million informal businesses in Lagos. Maybe about 5 million could be what the figure may look like. That said, but I think all these things still boils down to the fact that there are some certain things that should be done but are not done properly. Lagos attempted to capture the data of all residents, the Lastra project. I don't know how many people really registered for Lastra. That would have been a clean source of such a data, where you are able to capture people where they live, where they work, and what they do. But most of the time, you also discovered that because people are also trying to avoid government and taxes, right information are also not supplied to government agencies. So these are the real challenge. And I think that if we have to find a way around some of all these issues, people must become more truthful in terms of declarations. Because people are afraid that if I declare what I do, then it will mean more tax to me. And they're trying to avoid tax. And I even think that this incentive that came with this whole tax reform bill from the federal could have even helped people to be much more forthright in terms of declaration of what they do. So we can actually zero in on where these businesses are, what are the addresses, what are the locations, and then we're able to say, oh, this is the size of the informal sector in Lagos. But I think 50 million is way, way, way overboard.
All right, so the population of Lagos State, I just did a guesswork by saying maybe around 25 million if Lagos is that populated. But as of 2023, the population of Lagos was 15,946,000. So we could just say...
It depends on which data you are relying on.
Yes, because
whether it's Nigeria data or Lagos data.
Way. 2016 was the last census in Nigeria.
Because in 2006, when the census was done,
yes,
of course, this figure came out.
Hold on.
But what Lagos did was that they had to do their own enumeration.
Yes.
And they came up with a new figure.
Okay, hold on. If we are having a data that is saying that the population of Lagos State as of 2023 was 15,946,000, and then there is another data that says something else, it goes to show one thing, that we do not have a form of synergy. And so the data that we have in this country for so many areas is not harmonized. We can't have different information regarding one particular state. One data says...
Blessing, the big elephant in the room in Nigeria is actually data.
Yes.
Now, you look at it, we can look at the history, historically speaking. When the first census was done, and by 1951 they were going to use it to determine how people are represented in the parliament. I'm talking for independence. The Northerners protested to back out of the federation if, based on the population that was counted, they are not giving 50% of representation at the parliament. And that was so hugely debated. And eventually that concession was done. But by 1953, when we were going to do a fresh census, we have multiple figures. By the time figures came back, they looked at the figure and said, oh, this was not good. And it was rejected. They did another one, it was rejected. 1963, 10 years, fast forward, we did another census. The figure became different. And when it was brought to the Prime Minister, Tafawa Balewa rejected the figure. Because it was different from the pre-1951 figures that they had. Now, transition to 2006, figure came out. And Lagos says, we know what we have to do our own census. And so Lagos went on their own enumeration, and they came out with figure. Now, you see, this is tied to the conversation we have had earlier, which is that how are we sharing? That's why we can't get data right.
Because we're attaching too much to the population.
To the population. Okay, so if we allow states to take care of whoever lives within the environment without linking them up to the center, which is supposed actually to be managing external relations, general defense of the people, and security, we would not be where we are. We will have had data that are clean enough. But because it is a meal ticket for some people, therefore, all the data that you have in the public space, they are all suspect.
Okay. So,
but let's look at the informal sector, because the reason this figure came up was because the president or the chairman of the SMIDAN in Lagos was talking about harnessing the potential in that sector. So we're not going by 50 million because that's questionable. How are you sure we have up to that? Doesn't look like Lagos can have 50 million informal businesses. But if we look at the informal sector, there's a lot of business and activities going in there. What can be done to harness the opportunities? If possible, make some of them that are within the informal sector move up to the formal sector so that it's easy to attend to their needs. It's easy to even know what goes on in that sector, what kind of businesses operate there.
Okay, one of the reasons why I will look at, I think that figure, some others will want to just take another look at that figure and question how it came about the 50 million. And the other thing is, it's not the Lagos State Bureau of Statistics that is giving that figure. It is the chairman of SMIDAN.
But he said that at the Lagos State Bureau Forum. So maybe they have members who are registered with them. that's how they also got their own
the Lagos
figure.
State Bureau of Statistics or the head of the statistician of Lagos State didn't say that. So you say, I didn't say that. So if the head of Sweden is saying that, then he must have a source from which he got that from. However, Lagos, we know that Lagos can attract lots of businesses given the ports and the viability of it thereof. And given the way, okay, fine, Lagos border a few more states here, the buying and selling that takes place within, and when the ports bring in the goods and out, but I think 50 million is overshot. However, that being, I think the Lagos Bureau of Statistics, and including Sweden themselves, will need to go obtain some form of data from NBS and from the CAC to know this business that are registered, because it can't. Okay, informal businesses.
So CAC can't really help much.
That means, okay, they would have gone through the places, the territories of Oshodi, to see some of those businesses that are not registered.
Yeah, but the question is that we don't have 50 million people.
How would you find 50 million businesses?
Assume everybody has two businesses.
In a place you don't have 50 million people.
They could have gone through Oshodi. They could have
Even
gone
if you
through
go
Alaba
through Oshodi, would you
International.
find
They
50
could have
million
gone to
people in
Kara
Lagos
Market. They
State?
could have gone to Kara Market, or there could be
Whatever
an
markets
argument
they
that
go
Kara
to,
Market
would you
is
find
a
50
Ogun
million
State.
businesses in a state you do not have up to 50 million people? Are there spirits running those businesses?
Well, people have more than one businesses.
Even if
Let's
it
agree.
is every person
Let's
that
even
does
agree.
business.
Now
business.
take the population of Lagosians that are below 15 and put it into fraction. Let's assume everybody has five business in Lagos. Minus it from population of Lagosians that are below 15. You still will not get 50 million people, 50 million informal sector business. So the data cannot be correct. I think it's just an error, over-amplified. Maybe a slip of the tongue.
Or maybe a typo even.
Yeah. It could be a typo. So that's why I said it's the devil of the pen.
It's not an error. It's just over-amplified.
Yeah, so we can estimate and approximate what is possible within that space. Yes, there are a whole lot of informal businesses that are going on in Lagos. But when you pull that and just oppose it side by side with the population of a city, you will know that we don't have 50 million. That's clear. And because this is also coming from somebody who's coming from Abuja. So I feel maybe SIDA is exaggerated, as it were. I was in that forum, so I wouldn't know. Or it was a slip of the tongue, or maybe it is the reporter's devil that brought this. So what I'm really saying is that we can get clean data. And this is also very important to our national development, that we know what size of the informal sector exists. And then government also can now be thinking of how to make plans for them. Speaking with the president of ASBON the other time, he was telling me that, look, that yes, every time we talk about MSMEs, that there's a segment of MSME that is not even talked about, which is, of course, the nano businesses. Okay. And that those nano businesses, they constitute up to about 80% of the MSMEs. And yes, in terms of percentage, you can look at it, but Association of Small Business Owner by their president said they have about 50,000 small businesses that are on their database.
Okay, so I think that what needs to be done is for Sweden to get the right data. If there was some error regarding that, then they can correct that. Because when you have the right data, then you know what to plan and who to plan for. So you know the type of businesses that are there, what are their challenges, how can the government step in. Some of them are still battling with multiple taxation, and some of them in areas where they operate, there are some challenges. It could be a challenge regarding the access to markets and some other things. So this needs to be looked into so that those operating there can thrive, and then the state also can get better revenue, not multiple taxation this time, but harmonize the way things are done there to get the gains. The state will be better for it.